So what ended up happening as a result of all of this? Gilbert Arenas, I mean, there's like 5 or 6 different sound bites of them going off about this conversation. I mean, they even had to invite Ron Artest on the show so Ron Artest can say, well, yeah, it was a 2-year stretch where people was like, dang, Kobe or T-Mac, Kobe or T-Mac, right? But remember, that's the straw man. That's the straw man. For those of y'all who not familiar with that, you know, to intentionally misrepresent a proposition, right, that is set up because it's easier to defeat than an opponent's real argument. What did I say the real argument was? The real argument is rings do matter because LeBron said they didn't. So the argument against it is no, they do, and they've always have. So instead of Gilbert Arenas arguing that point, he created a straw man based on T-Mac and Kobe. Gilbert is really good at doing it. He do it on his show all the time. He creates these straw man arguments, and then he'll have Nick Young arguing with him over the straw man, and then Kenya Martin will team up with Jennings and Kenya Martin will both team up against Nick Young, and Nick Young is like a simple dude. Like, you know, I'm not gonna go in depth. I ain't about to do all this research. So when Gilbert Arenas come with this research and be like, hey, I did X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. Nick Young is just like, look, all I got is common sense. I'm not doing no research on that. Like, it's common sense that rings matter. Like, what are we talking about? And that's how he argued it. He don't come back with all this data to prove that rings matter. Why the hell would I, like, that's the only reason why we play. Why do I need data to prove that they matter? Like, they don't make sense at all. Why would I need that? So Gil always makes it look like he's winning these debates against Nick Young because they're not arguing the real point of rings matter. They're arguing the straw man of could T-Mac actually win in place of Kobe Bryant. And then when he wins that argument, because, you know, people like Grana Tessa come out and say, oh, yeah, it was a 2-year period where we didn't know who was better, T-Mac or Kobe. Now Gilbert is like, I told you. So now since he won that straw man, it makes the original argument also a win for him, and he can establish that rings don't matter. Very tricky how he does that. And then he'll do other things that, you know, people on my panel do this as well. They'll argue something and be wrong about it, and then say all of these odd truths. Like, no, like, oh, that's true, that's true, that's true, that's true. And it don't connect to the argument that they're wrong about. But all of these truth, like, you know, they're all straw mans. Like, they just place them all over the place. Straw man, straw man, straw man, straw man. And if you get in trouble to argue that straw man, you already lost. If you ever argue a straw man, you've already lost. So the best thing is like, nah, that's not what we're arguing. You know, I'm glad you brought that up, but that's not the conversation. The conversation was about, do rings matter? But, you know, he moved away from that really quick. Let's hear how Gilbert Arenas did this. It was nasty work.
When I make the statement that no one gives a fuck about the number 2 rings, it's not my opinion. That's history. It's shown, right?
Okay, so now he's saying people don't care about the number 2 rings. Remember, the original one was rings don't matter. Remember what I said. Rings do matter, especially at the conversation for the top of the GOAT list, right? It's probably the top 10 guys. That's your Duncans, your Hakeems, your Shaqs, your Bill Russells, your Jordans, your LeBrons, you know, all of these guys. Kobe, Bird, Magic, those guys right there. When you have a conversation with those guys, rings will be discussed. He couldn't win that argument because that's true, so he jumped down to number 2s. Now we're trying to have a conversation around when Kobe was a number 2. And Scottie Pippen and Draymond and Clay, you trying to have a conversation about number 2 rings. And he's saying, when he said that people don't care about number 2 rings, you know, he got proof. But it's not that we don't care about it. It's just not, it doesn't weigh the same as a number 1 ring. How could it?
Are y'all respecting Scottie Pippen for 6 rings like you do Michael Jordan?
No. Why would we respect Scottie the same way we respect Michael for the 6 rings? That don't make sense. Right? It doesn't make sense. If Horace Grant was with them for all 6 of those rings, will we respect Horace Grant the same as we respect Scottie? No, he's a number 3. He's below Scotty. Scotty's job was a tougher job. Do you if I ask you who the best president we ever had in the world, no one's going to mention the vice president. Like, go down the list. Who's your top 3 presidents ever? I wish somebody would come out and say who was a vice president? Kamala Harris. How? She's never been a president. You can't rank a number 2 the same as you rank a number 1. Who's the best president? You can't name a vice president. That makes sense. Who's the best? I don't know. Who's the best CEO of who's the best CEO we've ever had at Bank of America? Well, that list is only CEOs. You can't go to the secretary of the CEO and be like, well, I mean, the year that he was CEO and she was secretary, they brought in the most money that year. So maybe do we respect the secretary as much as we respect the CEO for the job that he or she did? No. You cannot get the same respect as a number 2 that you get for as a number 1. That's not a real thing, Gilbert Arenas.
No. Right? Are you respecting Clay with his 4 rings? Did you put him in the top 75? No.
They didn't.
They do respect Clay with his 4 rings. He's won so many. He's gotten in all stars and he's got max contracts. We talk about him a lot. He's getting his respect, but as a number 3 or a number 2 at best, how much credit can you get for those 4 rings or those 2 rings that you got as a number 2 and those 2 you got as a number 3? How much credit can you get? Not as much as Steph. So what are we arguing here? Are we arguing that a number 3 should get the same respect as a number 1? So when you really break it down like that, which is what Nick Young doesn't do, because it's just nonsense to him, like what's understood should not have to be said. And that's how Nick feel like, dude, like, why are we even doing this? Like, winning is winning. Like, how, like you're making all these sub arguments to try to argue a point that's not winnable. Rings are always going to matter. You can't come up with all these other little sub arguments that whatever data point that you got to support it. And then, okay, so now, like, if I agreed with you that Clay doesn't get the amount of respect for 4 rings, now what, Gil? Now what are you going to say? If he can establish that point, the next step is now we can go back to saying, so we're in agreement that rings don't matter. And then once we go there, the next step is, since rings don't matter, now we take rings out of the argument for the GOAT debate. That's the whole move.
Yeah, right? I mean, there's, right? So, hell no, he's not in the top 75. Number 75 is Dame Leonard.
True.
Okay, so you don't respect the second option. So what ends up happening is last night, you got the number 1 guy saying, no, this is my guy. He helped me in the past. As a second option, you send motherfuckers there celebrating, doing it. Like, think about Kyrie. Hit the shot. Boom. He's hit the shot. And then everybody, LeBron. He's sitting there like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think they did that back in the day?
No. Same thing Kobe was mad about.
But
like, I'm doing all this in a game 6 and a game 7.
Shaq said something about Kobe.
Shaq said,
after the 3rd championship.
But Kobe thing was like, y'all, no matter what, y'all is not going to give me my respect if I don't win without Shaq.
Yes, and that was the whole thing. But because he wasn't getting the respect.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because, that's what it was real. Like, he had, like, in his mind, I have to win without this dude. You know what I'm saying? There's no question about it. For my legacy and what I think I am to this game, and I have to win without Shaq, right?
And then the Tracy rumors being better than him.
Here we go. And the Tracy rumors being better than him. So we're about to get into it. So, that was a thought process of Kobe's. Yeah, I got to win without Shaq. Why does he have to win without Shaq? Not because people were saying T-Mac was better than him. That's not why he said he had to win. He had to win without Shaq because the conversation of the greats, Magic, Bird, Jordan, Wilt, Kareem, when the conversation around those guys came, they wasn't thought of, even though Magic was a number 2 behind Kareem for a couple of those rings, and then it kind of flip-flopped where Kareem got older and then he became a number 2. Right. So even though those both guys played a 1A, 1B role, they didn't look at Shaq and Kobe that way because there was a different dynamic of Kobe coming in as a high schooler and, you know, it looking like he was up on the Shaq's ring, but time told us different. Time told us that Kobe was already mentally ahead of most of them dudes, probably even Shaq as well. And work ethic and drive and will to win and all these things. And he was a totally different animal, right? So time tells us that. Time also tells us that those 2 years that we was debating whether T-Mac or Kobe was the best, time tells us that that was a wasted debate. It was obvious now to us that Kobe was always better than T-Mac. Even T-Mac admits that. So now time tells us that. So and with history on our side and hindsight being 2020, you get what I'm saying? Why even have a 2-week long debate around something that has already been established and well known? Like, why even had a debate? Because he's using Kobe as a pawn in this situation, because he's trying to get to a much greater conversation that he's trying to win over. That way it makes it easier and, you know, for LeBron to walk into what he wants to walk into, you know, as the GOAT. Let's bring down everything, right? An example of what I'm talking about of what they're trying to bring down. I got a graphic for you. If I can get it in here really quick. What's been going on for quite some time with Clutch Sports and LeBron, is they've been trying to systematically, one by one, attack everything that's you know a big deal in, you know, the legacy of Michael Jordan. Everything that's on that graphic has been attacked. Down below you see the hardest era, right? That was something that was big for Mike. Because I ain't even gonna say the hardest era was the best era, because I think the hardest era might have been when that was allowing them to freaking play football on the basketball court, right? But they didn't have the best players or the best form of basketball at that time, so it wasn't the best era. It was probably the hardest from a physical standpoint, right? When the 90s came, you had a mix of everything that was great about the NBA. You had physical toughness, mental toughness, defense. You had harder ways to score because the paint was so packed with players that you didn't have that much spacing, so you had to become a better scorer from all angles on the court and all parts of the court. You had great players, you had great exposure, great marketing. Like everything was was at its best, at its peak from 90s to early 2000s, and then we started purposely making the game easier to score, harder to defend, less physical, more marketing than ever, to a fault. You know, not oh man, Michael Jordan's great, let's put him on TV more. It was more of a, well, it worked with Mike, so we got to find another player. The closest player that we think can get there, we're going to market that player, and we're going to, you know, we're going to fill in the gaps where this player don't match a Michael Jordan, and just fill those gaps in with pretty much lies. We're going to make this person just as big as Michael Jordan. So the marketing, it became more fake, more WWE. But anyway, the best era, toughest era, whatever, that was something that was part of Michael Jordan's legacy, which we'll say, well, I mean, obviously the better player comes from the better era and the toughest era. I mean, he had to become a better player to survive in the era and to dominate it. And to get 6 rings in that era is definitely more than 4 rings in this era. So what was the initiative for that era of basketball? We're done with the 90s. You know what was funny? I'm listening to Kevin Durant, Steve Nash, and LeBron James on Game to Mind podcast this morning. And you'll never forget. LeBron James said, we're done with the 90s, and was laughing and thought that was just funny. Didn't think it was disrespectful at all. He thought that was funny. We never could. I just talked about it last week. I said, man, Clutch Sports This is something that was good for them. We done with the 90s. I can't link them to saying that they initiated it. But now I can link him to saying that he enjoyed it very much. He literally said we done with the 90s on his Game to Mind this morning. I'll probably do a whole episode on Game to Mind probably tomorrow. And I'll probably do a free agent show probably the day after that. Right. So look forward to that. But we're done with the 90s was supposed to attack his era. Right. Now you look at the top 6 rings. What are we talking about? Rings don't matter. Ring culture is not a real thing, right? Rings don't matter. So now they're attacking the rings. We already attacked the era. Now we're attacking the rings. Rings don't matter, right? Scoring. He feels like he has that in the bag. That's one thing you can't take away from MJ, but it's a heck of an argument to say, hey man, I got the most points in NBA history and ain't nobody ever go break that record. So that takes down the scoring. He already said on his podcast, what is a bag? Bag don't matter. That's something that Michael Jordan had as well. He had a tool bag. He had heavy artillery in that tool bag, right? All of that. And then they attacked his defense by saying his defensive player of the year wasn't real and said they fabricated all his steals. And those are the things that they are trying to take down from his legacy. They need those things to be demolished. And then Kobe is also part of Michael Jordan's legacy because Kobe is a carbon copy of Michael Jordan. And they really need him out of the way to even have a debate with Jordan. Because how can we have a debate with Jordan if I'm not even better than his protege? So at all costs, any person that is a diehard LeBron or Clutch Sports type guy or girl, if you ever mention Kobe, look at the facial expression and look at the response. They are disgusted with Kobe's name. His name cannot. How can he possibly be in the conversation? You got to hear how they attack Kobe. Like Kobe has to be out of the way. This is a must. Like we would even accept defeat to Michael Jordan, but we cannot lose to Kobe Bryant in the conversation. They almost spit when they hear that name. So the attack on Kobe is going to be continuous. And that's what Clutch Sports is up to. Listen to how they talk about this T-Mac conversation.
Say it again.
The Tracy McGrady back there. Tracy led the league in scoring, getting triple and quadruple team, but averaged 32. Like it was a thing, but that's what I'm saying. As the when you're the second option, like you're putting in the same amount of work, right? But you're not getting the same amount of love. And that's why I said, like, when you're talking about history and you're talking about, I seen someone throw a whole bunch of names, and I'm like, oh yeah, all them names you named, who talks about them? You think Scottie Pippen on the voters vote, the people who used to write for him and love on him, you think he feels good sitting at 32 when 31 has no rings? That's Allen Iverson. Number 29 has 0 ring. That's Chris Paul. Like, you think he feels good, like he's respected, sitting at 32, there's 2 people right next to him, no rings? And y'all saying rings matter? Come on, man. So that's when you say, I'm sorry, Gil, and I don't know if Scottie Pippen feels that way about being at number 32 behind MVP of the league and Iverson. But even if he does, rings still matter. Right? They got that wrong. Maybe they got Scottie Pippen wrong, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's a number 2. We're not supposed to respect the number 2 the same way we respect the number 1. That's what Gil is ignoring, and he knows that. But that's what he's ignoring. Because if we got to respect the number 2's rings just as much as we respect the number 1's rings, then why the hell do they have different Supermaxes? Why didn't Scotty and Mike get the same exact contract?
Why isn't Jalen Williams getting the same extension that SGA got? Why is Gilbert Arenas the only one on his team that got all the money that he got? Why didn't he go? Why Caron Butler didn't get the type of bag he got from the Wizards? Why aren't the franchises saying, "Oh man, we must pay the number 1 and the number 2 the exact same amount of money"? And then even the number 3 needs the same. Like what? Like it's a slippery slope. Where do you draw the line at? If we're respecting the number 3 the same as we're respecting the number 1, how come it don't extend to money and contracts and endorsements and all of these things? It don't even extend to shots. One guy's getting 25 shots a game, the other one's getting 14. How do we make the decision who's getting 25 shots? How do we make the decision who's getting that huge contract? The same way we make the decisions on who we're going to give more credit to for that ring that we won.
Hey, stop.
You think that's how Jaylen Brown feel?
Rings does matter. So if rings matter, how can rings matter?
Right.
How does
right? Even though he still got it, it's still kind of like
he won. Right? He's gonna find. It still feel disrespect.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. If rings matter, then
he got
the heart.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got the heart.
Can you tell us why Scottie Pippen is 32 with 6 rings, 7 All-NBAs, 7 All-Stars, 10 defensive players, and Allen Iverson's at 31?
Because Allen Iverson was a number 1 when he did his damage, got to the finals, led his team to the finals, won an MVP in the league. Scottie Pippen has never won an MVP, never led his team to the finals, and he's only been a number 1 year in his career. He did all that damage as a number 2. Great damage. But the number 1 must be respected more than the number 2. It is what it is. Right? That's why. Now, Nick Young is not the type of guy who's going to argue and go back and forth with you about something like that, because he knows that the main point is rings don't matter. And if I know rings do matter, nothing else you say after that really, now what really don't matter is what Gil is saying. Nothing you're saying matters, because the premise is rings matter. Your premise is rings don't matter. We know that that's false. Rings do matter. So why am I even having this conversation? Rings matter. Like if somebody came to you and told you, "Hey man, fathers don't matter in the household. All you need is the mother. Fathers don't matter." And if we know that's false, you need both of them. Why would you listen to an argument about anything? We got single moms that raise kids that went to Harvard, so that should prove that fathers are not needed. Why am I arguing it? Why would I even come back with data to say, well, what about the guys? What about the prison population? Most of the people in prison come from single mother households. You could go grab that data and argue that point, and then you go and it turns into a back and forth. But the best thing to do when you're arguing something dumb, like the sky is blue, why would I come back with data to prove that the sky is blue? Why am I trying to argue with someone and come with data to prove that rings matter? He's trying to tell us the rings don't matter. And I get it. He's trying his little slick little argument once he realized he was losing this whole thing for a week, because there's no reason for him. Like they said they was in the group chat still arguing this. They've already had 5 or 6 conversations on his podcast about this. He's went to his other channel to argue with Low, Legend of Winning, and got 8 up there. Right? He's going everywhere he can go. He's been on First Take. He's been on Twitter, Threads. He's going everywhere he can go to try to have this argument, because he is a losing argument and he's getting whooped everywhere he goes. So he continues to try to reinforce it. And now he's trying to take a slip out the back door and say, "Oh, this whole time I wasn't arguing that rings don't matter. I was just trying to show you that the media is wrong." The fuck out of here.
So if rings matter, because remember, who writes the rings matter?
When you put Kobe as not in the top 10, I don't respect that.
But again,
so that don't matter to me. So
see, you can't do that.
You can't, because I don't.
That's the problem.
If you believe, so what they say
the
goes
problem
to
is
you. What they say
what I'm
goes
saying
to
is
you.
The people who are voting get paid.
We need something to
go.
No,
what I'm saying is that the people are voting.
Going off of Kobe's not in the top 10.
But if the people are voting, they get paid to do this job. And instead of looking at it, you automatically try to take away the conversation to answer the question by saying, I don't respect it. That doesn't get to the answer. I'm asking you to answer. How do you think a man with 6 rings sitting at 32, how do you think he feels if 31 and 29 has no rings?
It don't matter how he feel.
So when I say rings don't matter, I have examples. Because I can tell you this, what I did was this, how I came to the conclusion. I said, you know what, this don't make sense. There's something we're missing here. You know what, I'm taking away all rings. Fuck them.
There we go. This is what they really want to do. He's already done this. This is what they really want to do. Take away all rings to have this conversation.
All rings are gone. No one has rings. Let me just go to these people's accolades. They see who they are. So I wrote down everybody's accolades.
I'm not doing
Wait, dude. Everybody's accolades. So I wrote down everybody's accolades, right? To see if this makes sense. If you go in this order, MVP first, give it the most points.
This order is so strategic. MVPs first. So rings don't matter, but MVPs do. So let's put MVPs number 1. Not winning, not the reason why we're playing the game. Not winning. Rings. I mean, not rings, but MVPs. He's gonna put that number 1. Listen to how he do everything else.
Second, scoring titles. Third, first team All-NBA, because that's top 5. Defensive player of the year. Second team All-NBA. If you go like that across the board, you will get.
Notice he mentioned MVPs, scoring titles, first team All-NBA, defensive player of the year. He got defensive player of the year, which is an award that means that you were the best defenders that year. He's got that behind first team All-NBA. So MVP's number 1, but the other end of the ball, which is defensive player of the year, is like number 4 or number 5, right? The top award is MVP we should have an offensive player of the year award, and we should have an MVP. MVP should be top. Offensive player of the year should be next. Defensive player of the year should be right there on the same level. Then you go to the teams. First team All-NBA, first team defense, and then second team All-NBA, second team All-Defense, and then third team All-NBA. Right? Then you can, I guess, scoring title. The scoring title ain't even really an award. There's no trophy. There's no award for scoring title. It just means you scored the most points. I don't think scoring title should be held that high if we're doing a point system, right? I don't think it should be. But it should be something that you consider, because that means that, man, this dude scores that well. But like you could like Bradley Beal got it on a losing team. You know what I mean? When T-Mac got it, his teams wasn't getting out of the first round. So like it's an award or it's an accomplishment, but I don't think it should be that high. He got scoring title above defensive player of the year. This dude is outright. But guess what he left out? He didn't mention defensive first or second team, because he knows Kobe has about 15, 16 of those. Didn't even mention the defensive teams at all.
Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, that's how it would look. So when you say, why isn't Kobe in the top 10? He only has 1 MVP. Everybody in front of him has multiple MVPs.
But he's got about 15, 16 all defensive teams, which he left out. Man, this dude is slick, dog. He's slick. And Nick Young is not even thinking that way, because look, Nick Young don't waste the energy and the brain. I'm not saying he don't have the brain capacity, but he don't waste it trying to figure these little things out. And Kenya Martin and Jennings don't either. They just, you know what I mean? It sound good, but they're not. If you can't catch the fact that he didn't even mention first and second all defensive team. He didn't even mention it. If you don't catch that, like, hey, nah, you slick, dog. We know Kobe got 15, 16 all defensive teams. How you gonna leave that out?
You sound like a man that ain't won.
No, I'm talking
like a man that ain't won a ring.
I'm not talking from my.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not talking from. I'm not. Hold on.
Look,
I'm not talking from my opinion, dog. I'm saying this is what the research that I did said. I said I looked at the top 75 list. They have it in order from the writers. I said, all right, Clay not being in the top 75, and he got 3 rings at the time. 5 All-Stars, 2 All-NBAs. How is 75, no rings, 6 All-NBAs, and 6 All-Stars? Doesn't make sense. These rings should be able to put him in front of Dame. So I said, okay, remove it all, and then
Well, we know the only reason why Dame is in the top 75 was politics, right? So we know that who was supposed to be in the top 75 is Kyrie Irving. Now, what we can't prove, but that was documented in an article, was that the initial top 75 had Kyrie in it. And then when he went through that vaccination thing and didn't take the vax and all that stuff was going on, the NBA was pissed off at him. And the second list that came in didn't have him on it, and he was replaced with Dame. Right? So they threw Dame in there. It was recency bias on how Anthony Davis got in there over Dwight. They threw Dwight in there. They threw AD over there over Dwight. But Dame is only in there for politics. So that's really supposed to be Kyrie. I wouldn't even use that as the argument. We know Dame was a pawn in that game too.
Took a month, went through the research. The research says they respect MVPs first, scoring title second, all NBA first team first, defensive player of the year, then second team all NBA, because second team all NBA is top 10 in the NBA. And
that's the second time right there, Gil. I think I seen Young Disciple say that he did mention all defensive first and second teams. He didn't. That's the second time he said it. He said it again. MVP, scoring title, first and second all defensive team. Not defensive players. First and second all NBA team, and then defensive player of the year. He does not mention defensive first and second team. That's the second time he did it. There's no mention of the first and second team. So first and second team don't even matter. And we know that that's what Kobe has, multiple all defensive teams.
And when you go by that and put the points, I don't give a fuck if you go 10, 9, 8 on the points, you will come up with the top 75. The only thing that I found wrong was how, with the metrics that was there for everybody else, how is Oscar Robertson in front of Kobe? Now remember,
Yeah, Young Disciple, he's saying he went through the criteria of the top 75 and saying, how did they get this order? And he really looked at it and was like, oh, this is how, if this is the list that this is how I can justify how they came up with this list. But remember, the top 75 is voted on by a multitude of media members who have no criteria, or if they do have a criteria, it's totally different. They didn't get in one room and hash this out as a group of. They didn't do that. They didn't get in one room and say, "Hey, this is how we're looking at it, and this is the criteria." They didn't do that. This is Gil looking at the list and saying, "All right, I'm guessing that this is the only way. This is the only way I could get this list to make sense. They have to have it this way." He don't know how they was using it, right? So that's number one. Number two is, why is he going through 2 weeks of trouble on multiple platforms to drive this point home? Why is it so important? And it initially started from rings don't matter. Why is it important for him to go through this? Because he's trying to establish the point that he agrees with LeBron that rings don't matter, and he's using Kobe and all the second stars who got rings as pawns. Oh, and also with the media, he's using them as his argument to support it, saying nobody's respecting them. Nobody's respecting rings, because the end result of once he established this, I don't know if you play chess or not, but this move that I'm showing you here is not the end of it. It's something coming behind it, or around it, something that's disguised. You got to see the moves before they actually make the move. And he's doing all of this groundwork now because the end move, the checkmate move, is going to be rings don't matter. But I got to get all of your guards down with all of this argument that I'm doing now. I have to beat you down with this before I can do checkmate. The checkmate move was already shown us by LeBron. Rings don't matter.
Number one stat is MVPs. Think about everybody else in the top 10. They got more than one. Scoring titles is next. That's why Jordan can never be passed, because he got damn near 8 more than everybody else. Right? So if you put, 200 points in on 100, however you want to do it, that scoring title, 10, there's nothing you can do about that. He can never be caught because of the metrics of that. Like, this is not the eye test. They're going off of a metrics. So when you say Scottie Pippen at 32, if you take away his rings, did he have a better career than Allen Iverson? No. Allen Iverson got 4 scoring titles, an MVP. No.
No, I get it.
So it's saying that, yeah, this is just a cherry on top.
Well, let's better career than.
Let's get back to talking about.
You said he does?
Yeah.
And once again, he's using the argument of number 2s and role players to support what he's trying to say. And the ring conversation and the ring count aren't for role players and number 2s. The ring count is really more beneficial to the guys who led the team as the number 1 to get those rings.
Yes. If you take away the rings, he has a better.
No.
Okay.
You can't take that. Come on, how you gonna take away something that?
I'm asking, but okay. See, you see, you have an opinion.
This is crazy, bro. Let's just take away all rings.
So, answer the question. So if Scottie Pippen's at 32, how is Allen Iverson at 31?
So who opinion do you respect when it comes to somebody's top 5?
I can't, because every time he have who's the top 3 we always mention? Everybody outside of ESPN.
It's players. That's our eyes.
But you can't have them at 18. That shit don't make. All right, come on. Be right.
But that's the problem. See, that's the problem where no one gets.
So this is what it would be, Nick. Right. So this is what. Just hear me out. So if the players that played in the NBA did a list, Kobe would not be at 10.
Would not be at 10.
But that's the thing. They're not asking the players.
Well, some of the players contribute.
Some of the players vote too.
Some, but not the masses. It's not players, right? It's the square media and it's dudes that
don't like that.
That don't, but it's personal.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, it's just strictly stats.
I'm saying,
it's strictly stats.
It's personal.
But that metric, yes, if it's stats, but I'm just saying, for
Nick, I just told you the metrics. MVPs won. So if you want to put 100 points on MVPs. Look, what I'm saying is put 100 points on MVPs. What I'm saying is put 100 points on MVPs. Put 90 points on scoring titles. Put 80 points on first team. Put 70 points on defensive player of the year. Put 60 points on second team. And you start counting.
Gilbert is in front of Kobe. Gilbert is in front of Kobe now.
Swag. All right, I gotta stop y'all. We got a lot of NBA finals.
What I'm saying is how
Gilbert is top 10.
How?
Does he have here go the grand finale right here.
Like how does that go?
Defense player, he got everything.
Defensive player is 60 points. So he got 460 points. What is that?
He already got a point system for it too. He's already done this. The groundwork is already laid. This is chess, y'all.
I got to do with scoring titles. Scoring titles is 90 points each. That's 108. What are you talking about?
I feel like we're going to talk about this all summer long.
But what I'm saying is we shouldn't. Just do the math yourself. And then you can do the math. You can stop asking. It's all accolades. It's individual accolades, and it should be told.
And rings don't count.
They should have told us before.
We don't play for the championship.
We play for it. They tell us.
This wasn't shit. Why we don't?
See, this is why it's hard to have an educational conversation because you're using your emotions.
No, you said rings don't count. So why are we playing for it?
The data says rings don't count. Because if rings count, sir.
We've been doing this
We just playing the play.
What I'm saying is,
this shit has been going on since Friday.
Yo,
94.
Did you read my message?
93.
Do you see what I said?
This has been going on in the group chat for literally 72 hours.
Hold on. Because no one wants to have a real. He wants to use his emotion.
How am I using emotion?
Then answer the question with a reasonable.
Without you saying rings don't count. If rings don't count,
rings count. Rings count. Rings count. Okay, so rings count. Then answer this. 1993, a man by the name of Michael Jordan has 3 rings. He was ranked the best player ever. He jumped Magic Johnson, who was number 1 before that, in front of. So Magic has 5 rings. Kareem has 6 rings at this time. Bill Russell has 11 rings. Can you tell us what an educated answer?
I'm gonna wait till McCann's time.
An educated answer. How did Michael Jordan get crowned the best player ever with only 3 rings?
Shit, I don't know. I'm gonna wait.
I'm just asking the question, man.
We gonna wait.
If rings matter, how did the guy who has the least
rings don't matter
become number 1?
Rings don't matter.
I'm just asking a question. This has nothing to do with your personal. I don't give a fuck about personal. I'm just asking. I'm looking at the data and saying, hey, he has 3 rings.
So just play.
How is he in front of a guy who has 5, 6, and 11?
I can't tell you. He just play.
Oh, you can't? Yeah.
I just want to know what list we gonna go.
I know you can't. I know you can't.
We'll talk list. We will talk list. I get the feeling. Y'all know I'm playing. I can see the future. We will talk this well into the summer, into next season.
But we shouldn't.
We shouldn't. But let's talk right now about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay, so he thought he snapped with that question. If rings matter, then how was Michael Jordan considered the GOAT when he only had was it 3 rings? When he only had 3 rings and the other guy had 5, and Bird had 4, right? And he's talking about Bird and Magic. Well, the answer to that is number 1, 3 rings versus 5 rings for a player that's head and shoulders above the other guys with 5 rings that still got probably 6 more years to play that you just seen 3-peat and stuff like that. You can kind of make that determination. I can respect that. Now, if he didn't ever reach 5 or 6 rings, you could always backpedal like T-Mac just backpedaled. Just like when everybody said Harold Miner was the next Michael Jordan, and then once you proved to us you're not, it was like, oh, we were wrong, right? Just like Caitlin Clark, they said she was the best player the WNBA has ever seen, and then we seen it. Nope, she's not. My bad. We was wrong, right? Or like when we seen LeBron was like, oh shoot, this might be the Mets Michael Jordan. Then we seen the Dallas series was like, oh nope, we was wrong, right? So if someone dinged Michael Jordan the GOAT, and I think it was maybe an article he might be referring to, or somebody said he was the greatest of all time. If somebody considered him that at 3 rings where Magic had 5, they were doing it because he's obviously better than Magic, like head and shoulders obviously better than Magic, right? And had 3 rings, and they projected a little bit. But if they was wrong about it, if Michael Jordan pooped the bed the rest of his career, and just start, and didn't continue dominating like that, then you could have easily been like, nah, we was wrong. It ain't Mike. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But being that they did that a little early does not prove your point that rings don't matter. Rings matter. It's the only thing that matter. Definitely rings matter. Young Disciple said, bro, stop. 75 wasn't voted by the media. So when I this is what I was getting at. This is how people argue when they can't argue the real topic, right? Remember what I said about straw man, right? When you intentionally misrepresented proposition, right? That is set up because it is easier to defeat than an opponent's real argument. My real argument is not how they voted for the top 75. The real argument is rings matter. So instead of you coming with an educated conversation about rings either matter or don't matter, you want to create a straw man that you think I'm gonna argue with you about. But I can tell you that I did say that the media did not get in the room and decide on a criteria before voted for the top 75, right? Instead of you saying, yeah, you're right, they didn't have a criteria, they didn't all get in the room, they're not going out the same sheet of paper, they're not on the same sheet of music, or none of that. Instead of you saying that, you want to say, oh, the media didn't vote for it. The media, former players, and some executives all compiled this list, all voted. So he said, but the media was involved for sure. But your argument is that you like this is what make it hard to have conversations with people, is because they don't know how to disagree or do anything like that. Like, why would you even say that the media wasn't involved? They were involved. They weren't the only ones involved. They weren't the only ones involved. So I mean, and he was like, oh, it was mostly ball play. Who cares? The point is, they weren't all in the same room arguing the same criteria. That's the point. Learn how to argue or debate the point, not something else. Right. So I'm gonna open the phone lines up, y'all. I'm gonna open the phone lines up if I can find the phone number. Phone lines are open. Call in. It's scrolling on the bottom of the screen. All right, caller, can you hear me? Caller, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
All right, y'all put in the one in the chat if y'all can hear the caller. Go ahead, we're listening.
Number one, in my opinion, the list was wrong in the first place. The list is completely wrong. And number two, when it comes down to Mike and Kobe, they knew when Mike won his first three, there was nobody else in the league that could stop him from winning. Mike stopped himself. And if Jerry Krause would have had, we're going on hypotheticals, if Jerry Krause would have rode the train, we don't know how many championships the Bulls would have won in a row.
Mm.
Now, number two is back. Everybody knows if Mike and Kobe, Gold Chain Mike and Afro Kobe, would have kept the same mindset on score, and didn't calm them down and make them play the triangle basketball the way it was supposed to be played, what do you think Mike and Kobe would have did with their careers?
I mean, whatever they wanted to do.
I'm talking about as far as scoring, as far as all these stats and all this. But no, Phil changed their minds and made them play his game or the triangle where they had to slow down, like when Phil told Kobe, slow down, we're losing the big fella. And Phil told Mike,
right,
work the triangle. If they would have kept that same mindset before Phil got to him, what do you think stats would look like? That's going off hypothetical. The same thing Gil doing.
The stats would have been crazy. They would have had less rings.
Right. So for Gil, at his point, when he sat down and made all this stuff up, all they had to say is make the championship points worth 200. That is set Gil up. That is set Gil up.
It would have for sure, man. It would have, but this is the thing though. When you listen, when you have foolish conversations enough times, and you realize that like this is not a reasonable person using a reasonable argument, that that's when you disengage and was like, there's no point for me to actually really combat the stuff that you're saying with more data, because like you're coming from a dishonest place off top. Like, nobody wants to have a conversation with a person like that. So if Nick Young knows that.
I'm gonna say this. And I'm gonna get up. Let somebody else call. Gil is coming for Stephen A's job. If y'all can't tell that by the way he acts, his antics, the way he hollers and screams to get his point across, that's what he's doing.
Man, you know what?
Let him keep putting him on that show.
I can see that. You making a
Let him
daggone
keep
good point.
putting him on that show. That young man he knows what he's doing, and he's coming for Stephen A's job.
Yeah, you might be right, man. Thanks for the call, bro.
All right.
All right. All right, let's get another call in. Caller from Kansas City, what's up?
Yes, what's going on, man?
What's popping?
Hey, man, I just want to kind of share share my thoughts about how they Gilbert Arenas and how he's pushing the narrative.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah, man, I took time to watch Gilbert, and I think you called it out. Gilbert this is bigger than us, man. It's about him getting his clicks, him getting around, as we just was talked about. I mean, he want to be the next that one guy
Pat McAfee.
I didn't hear you.
Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he want to be one of them, and that's what he's doing. So he's saying any and everything that he can. So and I'm gonna tell you what I did a few times. When he be talking, I go and Google stuff he be saying. He be lying a lot. Like you said, he be slick.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't take Gilbert seriously anymore. And then I did want to touch on this, man. This all goes back to Kobe, man. You know, and I know Jordan, you got Jordan as GOAT, and I don't dispute Jordan being the GOAT if somebody mentioned that. This is what has me concerned or have my focus that Kobe's the GOAT in a lot of players' eyes and a lot of people's eyes undercover. Because that's why they always hating on that man for no good reason.
Yeah.
And when I look at Kobe, if you in my little group that I got, I have to show the young people that back in 2001, 2002, they was already saying Kobe was better than Jordan at that age.
Yeah.
And then by
that conversation was definitely had, even while he was on the team with Shaq.
Yes. So when you got that, so what the media did is they start, I'm not going to give you no MVPs. They started that mess. And then they start selling LeBron. Remember 2003 when LeBron came? They knew he was coming in the beginning. And they start setting up all this mess. And the hate started with Kobe because they skipped over him. So they disrespected the whole game by trying to skip over Kobe. So it's like this with me, and I just keep it simple. I don't think a lot of people watch Kobe because and I know it's never talked about on your show when I listen to it, but I would like you to do a segment where we going back. It's a lot of people who from the East did not watch the Western Conference due to the fact how late the game started.
Yeah.
So they don't even know Kobe, and they out here just listening to anything as casual fans. So, and then lastly, I just wanted to tell you, man, thank you for having one of the realest shows around. I don't know what you need to do to blow up, but you tell too much of the truth to blow up for real.
Yeah.
So, but I want you to keep doing what you're doing. And it's so important that you do that because otherwise I start thinking, man, maybe I'm confused or I'm getting old because I'm going to give you this last thing before I get off. I apologize. I saw on Gilbert Arenas, Kmart say Kobe was never double teamed during their series, not even one time.
Insane.
And he said that. So what I did for my group, I went ahead and brought some highlights showing Kobe. They was getting soft doubles, hard doubles on Kobe off their zone. This is what Kmart said. I was so hurt I ain't watched the show again because I never thought Kmart would go there. You know how real Kmart is, right?
Yeah.
He's the real deal. And that's how I know they at work, man.
But every player got their bias and they got their own delusion in their mind. Anytime Kobe and Shaq is mentioned, Kenyon Martin makes it his purpose to mention how dominant and how hard it was for people to stop Shaq.
Yes.
And he'll bring up that dunk against his team, Denver, when there was 4 guys trying to block Shaq's dunk, and he dunked it on all 4 of them. Right? He brings now that it's a good point. Shaq was dominant, but the bias in Kenyon Martin as a big man, he wants to drive the point home how dominant Shaq was, and I understand that. I get that. But he does it at Kobe's expense a lot, and a lot of times that they'll go to the extreme and they'll tell flat out untruths, just so they can go with what their bias is. It's not a lot of people that's just straight down the middle that just go tell it like it is. And if you're gonna have a bias, let your bias be toward either the truth, accuracy, or basketball in general. Like the best thing for basketball is for you to support real basketball. So like what I mean, like when people have a bias toward the way we play now with 5-man out, high screen and roll, no post ups, none of that, no mid range, that's not in the best favor of basketball. So you have to be against it. Like that, you should be biased against that style of basketball because it's not 100% basketball.
And you correct. And I wanted to share this with you from listening to them. When you hear the little words, you got to watch their wordplay. When you hear the word fortunate or carried, that's their little terms that they use. And Kmart, all them people, you fortunate. Every basketball player, and you ball, and that's another thing I like. Every basketball player has their situations. Things that we can see as fans and things we can't. It's how you handle your situation. That defines you, not just the situation itself. You have to overcome your situation at times. And so that's what they say about Kobe, that he got in this great situation and he was so blessed. And then what I did for my basketball group for this week, I'm showing them how he wasn't even the man in Orlando. He wasn't even the man. That's why he left.
Well, I'm gonna push back a little bit on that. I mean, he was a member. I mean, but let's not forget how good Penny was as well. But you're right, man. I think the point to take away from Orlando in his early years in LA is that he had a all-star level. Well, in Penny Hardaway, he had a superstar level guard, right? And Penny Hardaway, they did get to the finals. They couldn't get past Hakeem. He left Orlando. He had an all-star level guard in Eddie Johnson, not Eddie Johnson, but Eddie Jones, who wasn't as good as Penny.
Van Exel.
Yeah, he wasn't as good as Penny, but he was daggone good. And adding Van Exel, actually having both of those is like having Penny. So you got Van Exel and Eddie Jones, and you couldn't get it done with that. And it says something that it took Kobe to get implemented in that lineup with Phil Jackson unlocking both of those guys in the triangle for them to actually win. And when they started winning, they won a 3-peat level and went to 4 straight rings. So you can give Shaq all the credit you want, but we know before Kobe, Shaq he tried and he couldn't get it done. And with Kobe, they got 3 out of 4. So, but thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. Hey, bro, you keep doing what you do, man, and bring your friend back too. No, no, he'll be back sometime next month, man. He travels for a living, so he was out here randomly, and I think he'll come back next month. He probably watching right now. Great chemistry. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great chemistry. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks. All right, bro. Bye. All right, yep. Caller from where you at? What is that Alabama? Make sure you cut YouTube off in the background so I can't hear it. No, I ain't from Alabama. Oh, what's up? Where you calling from? No, I'm calling from Chicago. Okay, hey, can you cut the YouTube off in the background? Yeah, I'm gonna cut it off. All right. What's up? Yeah, no, I was calling about the whole rings don't matter thing in Gilbert Arenas. He said a lot of weird shit out his mouth sometimes. I don't know if I can cuss on your podcast. Go ahead. But he said a lot of weird stuff out his mouth, and a lot of stuff he be saying, his son is a part of Clutch Sports. So just like Nick Wright is a part of Clutch Sports. But LeBron just be putting out narratives because he know he can't catch Mike. And it's real irritating that he just don't be a man about the situation. Bro, you failed, bro. Like, you made all these super teams and you still failed.
You tried to take the helicopter up and you lost. And that's what happened. And you've been in the league this long and you still ain't accomplished the shit you're supposed to accomplish. And I just don't understand, like, and I'm gonna say this from my point of view. I honestly feel like he shouldn't even be in the GOAT debate at all, because nobody in NBA history has played with that much help and a loss like that.
Preach.
Nobody.
Preach.
So it's just like, to me, for them to even say that Kobe is not better than him is stupid. Because I seen Kobe. I don't care about the whole field goal percentage. I watched Kobe, and I wasn't even a fan of Kobe when I started watching basketball. I was a big fan of KG, but when I seen Kobe destroy the Celtics, how he did, and he was all in a huddle and shit, I'm like, this nigga's a monster. Like, I don't know nobody who.
You know what? You similar to me, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I followed Pippen to Portland, and I was rooting for Portland. I really enjoyed watching the Kings. I was rooting for the Kings. I was rooting for Boston. Like all 5 of Kobe's championships, I rooted against. I was definitely rooting for Detroit. I rooted against the Lakers and Kobe for all of his rings, all of them.
I did.
I've never rooted for Kobe. The only
me neither. I rooted for Sacramento to the Sacramento. Yeah, I rooted for the Kings too because I wanted Chris Webber to get one.
Facts. Yep. I rooted for Iverson. I rooted for Iverson as the underdog. Like I never rooted for Shaq, Kobe, Lakers. Never. I never rooted for Kobe Gasol Lakers. I was going for Dwight Howard in Orlando, and I was going. You know what? No, I'm lying. I was rooting for the Lakers against Orlando, but I was rooting for Boston. So I only rooted for Kobe one time in his championships. And you similar to me, man. What I mean, you can't help but to respect him.
To say about the Shaq narrative, like how they try to say that he was Shaq, he was Shaq Batman. Well, really, it was like Batman and Superman.
Right.
But if you pay attention, Shaq went off to play with another superstar, and he won one with another superstar. He didn't go and mold nobody. Kobe sat here and molded Paul Gasol.
Facts.
And made Paul Gasol better than what he was.
Yeah.
And then he went to the finals 3 straight times. Shaq went one time, and that was it. And Shaq didn't do nothing else after that.
Nope.
So the
got out of shape.
They poo-poo Kobe like Kobe wasn't the player of the decade. You can look that up. Kobe was the player of the decade from 2000 to 2009 or 2010. He was the player of the decade. It was all on
TNT. I remember. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
They posted that, but people act like Kobe wasn't that, and I think it's all due to Clutch Sports hating on Kobe because everybody knows Kobe used to dog walk LeBron. He used to dog this man all the time. Like he used to show him, like especially at the All-Star game. Like if you pay attention to the NBA, it's almost like they done catered the whole rule and system to fit LeBron's playing style because he cannot play if the hole is clogged with centers.
And you know what, Chi-Town? You might be on to something with that. I think so we thought it was just for the Euros. We thought that play style was changed just for the Euros, but we got to look at the fact that it might have been catered around LeBron's strengths as well. And guess what? They about to do it again in the WNBA for Caitlin Clark.
And that's crazy. I mean, they don't need to do that for that. And that girl that's coming out, I can't think of her name. It's a girl in college. She's going crazy. Wait till she get in there.
Juju.
But, another thing too, what I figured out about LeBron, because people love to talk about the stats and all that. The man never got in the gym to actually add skill to his craft, because he would have been super cold if he'd have added some skill to his shit. But what he mastered is he mastered the paperwork. He mastered how to pad his stats to give him an argument with anybody. That's what he did. Because you pay attention to, you watch the games, you look on paper, you would think you're watching the best nigga to ever touch the rock. And you watch this man play the game, and you be like, bro, who the fuck is like that? Because this ain't the same person.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, bro. And then they be trying to put him in the same category as Michael Jordan. Like, bro, Michael Jordan is the most complete basketball player ever. After him,
keyword
fucking Kobe.
After that is Kobe. Yeah, thanks for the call, man. And you said a word, man. That key word is complete. That's how I judge basketball player completeness. completeness. But thanks, man. Thanks for the call, Shot.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yep.